If you look at the 2021 playoffs purely from a standings point of view, it's like no other. There's a ridiculous number of threats near the bottom of the conference. I'm talking about teams like the Lakers, the Heat, the Blazers, and Celtics. All of them in recent years have either reached the finals or the conference finals. But now they dropped in the standings for various reasons, injuries and stuff like that. However, in my opinion, the biggest storylines surround these 5 superstar players. For them, they got a lot to prove. It's time to show it. They might have got some flack, some slander from the media and fans, so it's time to make it or break it. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today let's talk about these guys and why this playoff run is so important for them. Let's get started. Number 5, Ben Simmons. In Simmons' previous 2 playoffs, 2020, he sat out due to a knee injury, watching his team get obliterated in the first round. In 2019, he got criticized for being too passive in that 7-game series against Toronto. Overall, he didn't perform that well either. Over the years, the perception of Simmons is kinda strange. On one hand, he's maintained a level of consistency, an all-around game that's rarely seen from a player of his age. On the other hand, he doesn't sway too much outside his comfort zone, and we don't usually see him have that explosive game to carry his team to victory. That's not his style. However, with the Sixers having a dominant regular season securing the first seed, this is the best position they've ever been in. His star teammates Embiid and Harris both just had the best season of their careers, but for Simmons, it almost seems like his career stagnated since his rookie year. At least statistically, and he hasn't made the jump everyone expected him to, which led to some impatience from his own fans. This is nothing new for him. He's seen these type of comments for years, plus an endless amount of trade rumors earlier in the season, where there was a real chance for him to get traded for James Harden. However, nobody considers how much he's improved defensively though, a fringe candidate to win Defensive Player of the Year. Perhaps with the 5-year, $170 million contract he signed back in 2019, there's going to be a lot of people paying close attention. Hopefully, he can perform and prove those doubters wrong. Number 4, Chris Paul. Maybe Chris Paul shouldn't be on here, because if you think about it, every team he goes to, everywhere he gets traded to, he makes his team better. He doesn't have much left to prove except for winning the title. That has always eluded him. I made a whole video about this, even despite the criticism for his lack of playoff success. There's no question that CP3 has proven so much at every stage of his NBA career. From a young lad in New Orleans to an aging veteran who looked like he was done in Houston, but still bounced back again and again. Now, he's the primary factor in leading a franchise struggling in the post-Steve Nash era to the 2nd seed in the competitive West. They got kinda unlucky to face the Lakers in the first round, honestly, but regardless, can this regular season success lead to an NBA championship? I don't think so, but that's always been the question with Paul. Even with the Suns' success, not many are taking them seriously. Reportedly, an anonymous Western Conference executive stated, "They're a good story, the league needs a few good stories, but I just don't see them coming out of the West. They'll be a tough out for whoever they face, no doubt. But I just don't see them getting past either one of the LA teams. You can't come out of the West and not see one of them along the way." It is unfortunate, though, to see such a great season from Paul leading to another possible first-round exit. I thought he should have gotten more MVP consideration to join a mediocre team on the outside of the playoffs to turning them into a legit contender in the West. That's incredible. It's kinda like what Steve Nash did when he first joined the Suns, too. But, alas, Paul's numbers are not as flashy. While they're still great, his contributions are much more than just on the floor, but MVP voters don't really look for that. Either way, it's time for him to show that he can lead this team to a deep playoff run. I'd be super happy if that happened, but I'm not sure he could. Number 3, James Harden. For so many years, Harden has been the man on the team, and year after year, the playoffs haunted him. As a one-man show for so long, the defense always focused on him, and there was always an excuse if he did not perform well. There were years where he got ragged on for having a reputation of not showing up in very important games. Like in 2017, Game 6 against the Spurs, an elimination game for the Rockets, but Harden scored just 10 points on 2 for 11 shooting. In 2016, against the Warriors in the pivotal Game 4, Harden shot just 4 of 13 from the field, scoring just 18 points. The worst was in 2015, against the Warriors again with the Rockets down 3-1. Harden shot 2 for 11 and recorded 12 turnovers, as the Rockets, of course, got eliminated. A 3 for 20 game against the Jazz in the playoffs, another 2 for 18 game against the Wolves, also in the playoffs. He's had a lot of not just bad, but horrendous playoff games. Heck, even going all the way back to 2012, he struggled against the Miami Heat in the finals, while KD and Russ had to carry the load. Harden has a history of underperforming during the most important games, but now, on this star-studded roster, there's no excuse anymore. If he doesn't show up when it matters most, he'll get absolutely hammered. The Nets need him. He's possibly the Nets' most important player if you look at the numbers. Since Harden came to the Nets, he appeared in 36 games in the regular season. They went 29-7 in those games. But when Harden was sitting out due to injuries, the Nets were just 10-11, many of those games with Kyrie and KD playing. I don't know about you, but that's a shocking statistic to me. Like, it really amplifies how much the team needs Harden, even though they already have 2 other stars. With such a stacked superstar roster, Harden is still the key guy. This was his main motivation to come to Brooklyn, to feel like he wasn't doing everything by himself and get rid of the past that haunted him. With no more excuses, he needs to show up and carry this team to the promised land. Number 2, Paul George. Perhaps the entire Clippers team should be on here. After blowing a 3-1 lead in a devastating loss to the Nuggets, they were at the center of mockery. A team that was supposedly a contender absolutely choked. For Paul George, it was disastrous. In Game 7, he scored a whopping 10 points on 4 of 16 shooting, with 5 turnovers. Kawhi also had a miserable game, but if we're looking through past accomplishments, Kawhi has a far better track record than George, who seems to be very inconsistent when the playoffs come around. Plus, he joined the Clippers in the first place because he saw that Kawhi was going there, and he desperately wants to win a championship. In that series against Denver, he not only choked, but he got outplayed by Jamal Murray for the entire series. George looked like the 4th best player on the floor, even though he clearly should not be. Following that loss, he took it really hard and admitted that he needed to change the way he practiced, and the team as a whole did not have that hunger and desperation they need to have. Coming into the 2021 season, George said he went back to his old trainer he had during his MVP caliber season in OKC, and that loss to the Nuggets motivated him even further. Now, it's crunch time. The Clippers can't go another season with an early playoff exit, or else they'll get laughed right out the building. For George, he just came off an incredible regular season, so the expectations are sky high. Can he deliver? Number 1, Giannis. In recent years, it seems like Giannis and the Bucks have reached somewhat of a ceiling. Giannis still crushes it in the season, but when the playoffs roll around, the Bucks have looked questionable. They don't look like the same dominant team we see in the regular season. Every year, it seems like the same problems come up in the playoffs for Giannis. The game slows down, which nullifies the Bucks' main advantage, which is getting out and running. They won't get many opportunities for transition points. Defensively, the entire team is on board to stop him, so when he tries to kick the ball out to a shooter, he's too slow in doing so, and defenders can get back and contest the jumper. As good as the Bucks are, their offensive game plan is rather simple, which makes it easier for opponents to have a simple defensive game plan. It was popularized by other Eastern Conference contenders, and it worked to great success. This was super apparent in the previous playoffs against the Miami Heat. In reality, he got suffocated all series long, losing in 5 games to a team you're favored against in the best season of his career. That was embarrassing, and Giannis felt he could have done more. Now, he's got a lot to prove, but it's questionable if this Bucks team is actually better than the previous versions. I don't think it is. Of course, with a gargantuan $228 million contract he signed over the summer, Bucks fans feel safe that Giannis will not leave. But that doesn't mean he won't get frustrated and could demand a trade if the Bucks continue to get knocked out early. It's gonna be interesting to see how him and the Bucks do in the next few years, but all eyes are on Giannis. Everyone's paying attention. Anyway, that's all folks. Thank you all so much for watching. Those were 5 NBA superstars who got something to prove in the 2021 playoffs. Let me know your thoughts on them. Which other stars have something to prove? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoy the video. And of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.